Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be a cutout from my earlier live stream where I completed Act 9.1, going in completely blind. This is also my first ever attempt at fighting X-23 Orochi. So I had read her leaked abilities. I did not know pretty much else about it, but in theory, it did seem like Lady Deathstrike should be one of the best, if not the best counter for her, and that's who I chose to go in with for the very first time. And here you guys will see how I did, basically. So I apologize for looking a bit under the weather and sounding a bit under the weather. I have seemingly caught some cold that's actively and aggressively getting worse. But back to the more important topics. As far as the story content bosses go, this one seemed to be on the easier side based on, well, the very first experience fighting her. So from the abilities that I read, I kind of gathered that I will want to be inflicting a lot of damage over time effects on Orochi. Ideally, I want to have access to armor ups as well as immunities to bleed and or poison, because those bleeds and or poisons will be able to get to me through block, also pending how many armor ups I have. All that pieced together, let's see how I do. And the damage mechanic in this fight is where effectively you have to get over 10 debuffs, 10 damage over time debuffs on her. And once you do, she's gonna enter kind of like her mental, awesome, super dangerous state. And then while she's in it, before that yellow timer expires, you do want to throw, as you want to punish Orochi's heavy attack with your special. So as far as the fighting goes itself, um, it's fairly straightforward. You want to bait out specials, you can outrange all of them. Here I could have been punishing her better, but I just kind of played safe. I figured I'll either block or get in my intercept again, because this was the very first time I was fighting her. I did not know necessarily the spacing in the fight. Here I got intercepted myself and got some dots placed on me, but it's Lady Deathstrike, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Here we can see that her health is going down in quite sizable chunks, which definitely kind of caught me off guard. And here we can see that she is going to activate her special attack, and I do want to bait out her heavy. And as soon as I do, I punish that heavy with a special of my own, and I know that this is definitely going to kill her. And effectively rinse and repeat. Now the stages of the fight do get increasingly harder. She starts get rooting herself effectively when getting hit, like Serpent does with those passives. After special attacks, initially it's only after 1 second. After a special attack, then it goes to 5 seconds after a special attack. So getting cornered can become an issue, but it never really comes up because how far she's really going down. So I know that you can get rid of that inexorable passive by punishing her special with a heavy, but I never really felt that I have to do that because, again, spacing wasn't even an issue. Even in the next phase, when that inexorable passive is like 5 seconds, as we can see here, she's nearly dead, and we're still doing perfectly fine here. Now she's activating a special. I do not want to risk it too much. I do not want, well, she basically died there, then and there. Right. And now, again, aspect of strength, then that inexorable is going to be 5 seconds instead of uh, 1 second after special. But it doesn't really seem to bother me too much because, again, punishing that heavy attack with my own special attack, I seem to create quite a lot of distance. And that was half of her health gone instantly. So now I'm just going to go into, I think, a combo with a striker and effectively finish this phase out. Or not yet. I should have probably just went for a striker, to be honest, if I didn't. Looking back at it, seemingly it was enough without a striker. And again, keep in mind that this is my very first try, very first attempt with hands-on experience with the X-23 Orochi. And now I'm just effectively doing the same thing. I want to get my debuffs on. Now I want to bait out her heavy. Somewhere along the way, I do make a mistake, but that's fine. Get hit a little bit, didn't hurt too much. Again, one heavy attack punish takes away half of her health here. And yeah, I don't know. That Orochi definitely did not seem to be anywhere near as difficult as, Act 8 bosses at the very first attempt. So as long as you do have a good counter for her, I think she's not the worst champion to go up against. Again, you do want to get armor ups on you, otherwise you can't really block against her, and then you want to have access to lots of dots. Or again, without armor ups with double immune. I will go over the list of recommended champions against her. I do think that Lady Deathstrike is by far the best option, because you can see that she's getting absolutely annihilated by Lady Deathstrike without much issue. I will make a mistake somewhere else along the way. Somebody dropped a donation here in the stream. Huge thank you to Wisher. And yeah, another phase is down. I'll be honest, somewhere along the way I kind of lost track. So here I do make a mistake, which is fair enough. And here I get smacked a little bit more, but that's fine. And this phase kind of seemed a bit trickier because she doesn't really lose power when she's activating special attacks, but she also can't reach 2 bars of power. So as soon as I realized that, I just kind of started pushing for it, to be honest, because I just started being super aggressive and didn't really let her to use that many special attacks. Got that intercept here. Again, in this phase, you do not need to do the whole heavy punish with your special attack, and we can see that she kind of melted. And yeah, that was the last phase, and that was the entire fight here. So I can definitely say that it was one of the easier story content bosses. I did enjoy myself. I think it was a fine fight. Again, this video is not intended to be a full guide. It's just kind of like my initial experience, my first ever try at the boss. And one second, I need to clean my nose. And whoops, here we go. Now we're good. So some of the better Orochi counters. As we saw, Lady Deathstrike's pretty much perfect. I have heard great things about Ironheart being amazing for Orochi, as well as Shuri, as well as Onslaught. Now, I do think Guillotine 2099 and Venact and Scorpion, Gore and Vox and Kushal are pretty much kind of like definitely capable of doing this fight very, very well. If you do not have access to too many damage over time effects, you can always play Intercept Heavy, which allows you to place poisons. Other than that, there's also I-Bomb, Solar Centurion, Arcade, Claire, and Toad. Remember that all dot effects are good except Bleed. She is, in fact, Bleed immune. And other than that, it's definitely doable with any champion that has decently good access to damage over time effect. Definitely look forward to hearing which champions you guys used for this fight. I will try to record another solo other than this with a different champion and upload that as a part of a more extensive full-on guide. Now it still has only been about an hour or so since I completed my initial run, so obviously this is just the first video on the subject as well, but yeah, it definitely felt easier than Bahamut or Sitalis or most of the other story content bosses have been feeling throughout Act 7 and Act 8. Nonetheless, I still had a good time. I think it is a fair, good design challenge. Again, I kind of expected it to be a little bit harder. Maybe it is just the fact that Lady Deathstrike is the perfect counter. Didn't feel like I, played exceptionally well, but fair enough. And yeah, that concluded my completely itemless, well, aside from refills and a boost, completion run. So I will be exploring it very, very shortly. Stay tuned for that on the channel. Live streams will come shortly. And I'll catch you guys soon. Bye bye.
Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have